The challenge in getting disruptive technologies into the urban environment, we completely underestimated, to be honest. We launched something for our client, Canary Wharf Group, called Cognicity. And Cognicity is this smart city technology challenge, right, in 6 themes. We came up with 6 themes. We met with all the Canary Wharf Group executives. We asked, okay, what do you care about? They said, we care about things like integrated transport, connected home, more energy efficiency, less water use, all these sectors, including things like better design and construction. And so we figured we had it nailed, right? Because we spoke to the executives, what do you want to see in innovation in? And they told us. And then we put out a challenge for innovators in that space to come forward and enter these competitions. And each of these 6 themes, we would whittle it down to 6 finalists who had come into Canary Wharf at level 39 and sit with us for 12 weeks. And we delivered this intense curriculum for them to help to shape their proposition. So it really did fit for the client, Canary Wharf Group, so it'll give them a real advantage. We did further work in training the Canary Wharf executives, number one, on how to be mentors. You know, how do you make sure they tell the truth to these young companies about how much energy they use, how much waste they throw away, how much does it cost to throw it away, you know, how much water do you consume? Because that data is very, very hard to get. And they really enjoyed it. Some executives really rose to the challenge and started sending us PowerPoint presentations and calculations about how they could really help. And others just thought, oh, it's a pain, you know, part of my job sort of thing, that I have to see these and deliver my normal job. It was quite an interesting exercise for Canary Wharf to see who of their executives are more predisposed to innovation. But then, in each of the subsectors, we had a competition. They each had to submit a business case, and a finalist was chosen, a winner was chosen in each of those categories. We've had the first 4 categories chosen, and so that should be 4 companies that will receive a £50,000 cash prize and a guaranteed paid-for pilot with Canary Wharf Group. So that's good. But what we hadn't understood was how difficult it was to get to the data. And I'll talk a little bit more about accessing the data and how hard it was to get that data and how it still is a challenge. And that's what is getting in the way for us in bringing disruption, if you like, or innovation into the built environment. But our experience has been really quite good. Just some quick results. We don't want to pre-publish the results because the last 2 cohorts are sort of done. But just to say how popular it's been with Canary Wharf is that there was only supposed to be 4 winners so far, 4 pilots, but the Canary Wharf Group executives have asked for 14 pilots out of the innovators they saw there. That means 14 paid-for innovations in a paid-for pilot are going to be adopted. And then, of course, figuring out how do you adopt this technology, how do you bring it into something like Canary Wharf Group? So we've had to come up with this concept of chaperones. Executives who are incentivized worked on the plan together with the entrepreneur to chaperone and handhold the pilot in so that it's successful. And this is a complete reversion of supply chain. Normally it's, you're a supplier, I'm a buyer, you know, I go out and find the best price, and there's penalties if you get it wrong. Here, the group is as incentivized as the entrepreneur, the pioneer, if you like, in this technology, to do a successful pilot. There's no penalties. Penalties is we fail together. That change in thinking was something that we're now, if you like, bottling and deploying in other places for other clients as well, because I think it's an interesting learning. But getting the data, I can't tell you how hard this was. Now, just between us, because we're not going to broadcast this anyway, are we? The data is very difficult because the established players in the marketplace are reluctant to give access to things like the sensors, the BMS systems, the building management systems that will tell us the data. The danger behind a lot of this is that they worry about the concept of cascading failure. That means one system telling an incorrect set of data to another system, telling an incorrect set of data to another system, and cascading failure is part of what caused the big energy outage in the eastern seaboard of the US, where one system relying on another one. So they worry about that in buildings and in the built environment. So because of Canary Wharf Group's procurement capacity, we were able to obviously get a senior executive to call the BMS companies and say, hey, we're building this new city next door called Wood Wharf, and we're going to be buying a lot of BMS, so open up. Where's your API? But then you have the other challenges, which is how do you allow a young innovator to jack into your building? What are they going to do with that data? So we've learned about how to take the data and abstract it safely away from the BMS system so that in a read-only way, so that we can access this data and then work with it to deliver the value-added services that the innovators need. So that's all learning. And then it's about who has authenticated right to access these systems in a machine-to-machine way? And what's the protocol on security? And are you widening the threat landscape for hackers to come and take your building down? And so all of these things are stuff that we're learning. They're all barriers, but of course, the prize is huge, isn't it? For those of us that can share and learn in this, because the prize is huge because it'll potentially be more convenient. The goals, just to summarize, were 3. For Cognicity, which is to find solutions that help save energy, save money, create a saving. It's good business, right? Create more margin. Value-added services, something that differentiates the area and that can create a value-added service that might differentiate the real estate when Canary Wharf is selling buildings. The third one, which I kind of like, it really is, it's a nice one. It was innovations that help make us happier. You might connect the word happier with convenience, but actually happier and frictionless technologies that we don't even see. And actually, I know one of our speakers is going to talk about what the price might be of that happiness. So I'm not going to steal his thunder. But these are all, we feel like we're absolutely at the beginning of this journey. And part of the important thing about things like base London is being able to share what we've learned and then learn back from others about best practice so we can actually take that forward as kind of like a reference architecture to the next place that we work with. And so we enjoy having the chance to chat about this. Just as a final footnote, if you said to me, Eric, what is going to really disrupt the space? Well, Google possibly with Google's new Sidewalk Lab, because they really do have the power to think about data in the way that none of us have before. So I look forward to seeing what that throws up. Thank you.